This is just a little reflection for a translator or somebody who wants to be an interpreter. This is Lipton tea, by the way. So don't worry, it's not something else. If you want to be a real translator, somebody who is interested to develop a career in translation or interpretation, there is fine dichotomy between two of these fields. This is just to bear in mind. It's a recommendation of a person who has worked his neck off in the field of translation for the past 10 years. This is just of things that you have to bear in mind to start working on, sharpening, developing, to become a better translator. And I'll be biased to translation since this is a delayed process that demands a heavy load of thinking on your mind and a lot of focus on specificities in the field that you're working on. First, you have to be familiar with the kind of context of your translation. You have to, first of all, create a vocabulary log that can be developed and updated constantly of the vocabulary that can be recycled within the context of your work. Don't work on all kinds of translation. If you're familiar and interested, you understand that this is just an infinite field of study and field of work. You have to be familiar with the kind of context where you're working. Develop sustainable mechanism of understanding the terminology and where they are used. I remember when I was back at the school, a friend of mine, she was a roommate. She used to spend most of her time translating directly and interpreting directly from YouTube. She logs in, she pulls out a group of speeches of American presidents, and she starts translation. She was specialized in interpretation and translation, consecutive one. Then she was hired by the United Nations office in New York. The lesson that I want to tell you here is that you have to really work hard on understanding the kind of context of your study and to have a vision of where you want to be. Try to be very specific. Try to say, I want to be working in, for example, United Nations. You want to say something like, I want to work for NATO in Iraq, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Or you want to work for the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, or what we call UNICEF. You need to learn the abbreviations of this context. Building on the understanding and conceptualization of the context, go deeper. Just don't go horizontally, trying to explore many fields. Try to be very specific within the field, and this field will connect you to other fields. Legally, economically, socially, psychologically, statistically, you name it. The point, you have to be very specific about the targets that you have. When I was back at 4th year of College of Languages, my dream was to study specifically in the United States, and I worked really hard to apply to any scholarship. Building on applications, I found that I had some weaknesses here and there. My score in IBT was low. I had to boost it up. I worked like 6 months training on listening. I improved my listening. I improved my communicative skills. If you become a better English speaker, you're directly qualified to be a translator. Then at this point, you need to start to understand the concept of translation. Part of the understanding is to study the literature of translation, understanding what the translation field is, what it is about, what the work you're trying to work on focuses on. I guarantee you, if you follow these steps and then you start applying for jobs, you will directly be hired with 4 figures or 3 figures salary. But this doesn't come all of a sudden. You work with someone, this someone is going to tell another person that you have very professional style of translation. He's going to connect you to somebody else. And then this network of connection is going to incrementally improve your career. And then you'll climb up the ladder of professionalism and you will become a better version of yourself. But first of all, you don't have to be a lazy person. You just need to work really hard to improve yourself. Read a lot. I am not smart. I'm a good reader. I read a lot. I consume a lot of reading. And I don't tell people how much I read because this is my secret. I guide people through some recommended textbooks that they read and references for translation or grammar, or, recommending them to purchase a thesaurus or some sort of dictionary. But I don't tell them how much I read. I consume a lot of books because this is the secret. I'm not smart. I'm not intelligent. And I'm not affiliated with plus 100 IQ people. Just a normal person with a camera. And I'm telling you this message to make it the lesson. You have to look where you are heading. And when things go south, you have a backup plan. And the backup plan is the treasure of reading that you're doing that will take you and reshape your character and personality to become a better person. This is just a shout out for everybody who's working really hard. Try to have a plan and a vision, be a translator, and then do some reverse engineering how you can do that. Have a wonderful day.